Hello, everyone. Carrie Beck here with How to Homeschool My Child. I've been chit-chatting. I did not realize that I was muted, but we are here. I am pumped up and ready for this class today. We are talking about 4 steps to raising Christian leaders. I am super excited because this has made a huge impact in our lives, our family, our homeschool. And then the more I teach about these kinds of things, I hear these fun stories of how it is helping other families. Yesterday, when I taught the class, one of the ladies, as I'm talking, she goes, "That would simplify my life so much if I just did that one little tip." And so hopefully you're going to walk away with some things that you can put into practice immediately. Let me go ahead. If you do not have the handout, I'm going to put that in the chat. Go ahead and download that, and we are going to get started. Let's see if it's going to go. There we go. Okay, I'm going to turn me off because I can't look at y'all and the screen, and I've had screen problems. Oh, and I guess the handout didn't show up. All right, here we go. Today, what I want to do is show you how you can go from feeling scattered, overwhelmed, and worried about doing enough in your homeschool to feeling focused, intentional with your kids' education. And then you can experience that peace and confidence by giving your kids the best education possible as you raise them to be Christian leaders. And these would be Christian leaders that impact and influence those around them. Let's just stop right there and let's talk about leadership. What is leadership? Really, John Maxwell says leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. So if you think you have to be the president or CEO or head of the church, whatever, that's not true. You are influencing your children and you are influencing others. Anyone that has influence does become a leader. And so that's just something we need to sort of remember as we move forward. Now, get that thing going. By the time we're finished with this, you're going to learn the major shift that moms need to make to go beyond the conveyor belt of schools and give their children the ability to influence others for Jesus. We're talking about the number one area to build in your children year after year that will carry them through life, giving them a foundation to influence others for Jesus and lead their family in the future. This number one area is where you want to start if you have young kids. We'll talk about inspiring learning, the most simple and effective way. This is so simple. It barely takes any thought or planning, yet super effective in getting your children to enjoy learning. We'll talk about some critical thinking skills. How do we do it? What's the most effective way? We're going to share that, and you will see that you can use it in any subject area to encourage your kids to think and to make wise decisions. And then I'm going to sprinkle in real life examples of Christian leadership education. Hopefully, this will inspire you, help you double down on what strategy you need to use in 2025 this year. Also, if you stay until the end and decide to work with me in raising your kids to lead instead of follow, I have a special opportunity for you to get your hands on a bonus that I just added. I'll give you all the details at the end of class. We also have some surprises throughout the class. So I'm going to give some random, just a couple of these throughout the class. This is my Verses and Prayers ebook. You can print out the verses. There's 4 or 5 to a page. Cut them up and then start praying. I recommend putting them in places that you see on a regular basis, the bathroom mirror, the kitchen counter, maybe if you're driving a lot in your car, wherever. How do you enter to win one of these? All you have to do is leave a comment, and we will be choosing some random winners throughout the class. And so the more times you comment, the more entries that you have. Now, I know this isn't always possible, but we want to try to reduce the distractions as much as possible. If you're not watching on your cell phone, turn it on silent. Shut down all the extra windows on your devices, on your computer. Close any devices that you're not using. And I know this is impossible, but maybe even shut the door. If you can shut the door, maybe this is the time my kids were always having quiet time or nap time. So I could find some quiet time. Now, if you haven't gotten the handout, go to howtohomeschoolmychild.com/4 steps handout. And we are going to jump right in right now. Warren Bennis is a contemporary expert in leadership, and he says successful leadership is not about being tough or soft, sensitive or assertive, but about a set of attributes. First and foremost is character. And I truly believe that if we are going to raise our kids to lead and influence, they need a foundation of character. And so I'd like to share a very simple way that you can build godly biblical character. I'm a person of faith, so you will hear things about faith throughout this class. In fact, a lot of people are attracted to our classes, our events, because we do have faith intermingled in there. So this is my post-it party challenge for each of your children. You need to write their name on a post-it note. Then choose a character quality that you want to work. Just one. Don't choose 10. We're only going to work on one at a time, and then go find a verse that would go along with that. You get bonus points if you were to add, say, where's my mouse? Maybe if they're obeying, you put a blessing. If they're disobeying, you put what they're going to, what the consequence is. And then how do we use this? Then we would go sit down with John by himself, talk about obeying, read the verse that God has given you, and talk about what the consequence or the blessing would be. Sit down with Sarah by herself, talk about being thankful. Same thing. And Michelle, you want to talk to them individually, put it on the refrigerator. I would encourage your kids to write it on an index card, and they could say it out loud every morning at breakfast and then right before they go to bed. Help them to memorize it if they're saying it out loud every day. But that would help them have something in their head that they can do. So I would love to know if you would commit, who is willing to commit to finding one Bible verse for each of your kids to build individual character quality. If so, give me a yes in the chat. Is it a personal memory verse? It can be. This is really flexible. So I don't have a bunch of rules or anything, but I'm just throwing this out. It could be a personal memory verse since they're each going to be individually, but it could be a family verse. You might spend a month, but give your kids plenty of time to actually memorize it. I tend to think it's good to do it individually. So we got some yeses here in the chat, and thank you, Sherry, for your kind words about my faith. What got her following me. Sherry's been around for a while. So we got some great, some good people that are ready to do this. Now, let's just talk about if you are here, you're in the right place. If you're a stay-at-home mom who's homeschooling lots of kids or one kid, as you cook, clean, chauffeur, and all the other tasks required of you, you're following the school model and it is not working. You're overwhelmed and need a new direction. Maybe you're a working mom trying to balance all your home and homeschool duties with work. Whether you work at home or outside the home, you're looking for ways to manage your time and give your kids the best. Maybe you're a Christian parent. You just want Jesus to be the center of your family and your homeschool. And you may even be stressed out with their attitudes. Or we often have a lot of grandmas here. And so you might be a grandma that's raising their kids in full responsibility or just watching the grandkids while their parents are at work. Leave something, yes, attitudes are a real concern. Leave something in the chat. Which one or ones are you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it sort of helps me see who we have here. I will tell you that no matter which describes you, I support you and I've got ideas to help you, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there we go. Lots of things there. And 2, working and stay-at-home mom. We've got several, lots of them. I don't know if the 1 through 4, maybe it's all 4 of them. Only child attitude and not wanting to do school. Hopefully we can help you with that. I will tell you this. Let's give away one of those prayer books and I'm going to randomly pick someone. Let's see. Okay, right here. Massey Co. You have won one of these. If you want to email me your email address, we will send that to you. How to homeschool my child at gmail.com, or you can put it in the chat. It's really up to you. Now, some of you know me like Jerry, and others of you don't. So let me just introduce our family to you. My kids are all grown, so you're not listening to someone down in the trenches, but we're starting to do a lot of this all over. We just grandma here. Um, this is Ashley, our oldest. She is married to Jesse, and they have Faith and Elizabeth. Um, Ashley was our oldest, and she was willing to do things outside the box. In fact, she went to private school through fourth grade, and in fourth grade, she had a worksheet that said, "Why is George Washington a Christian?" Picture of the inside of a church, a couple sentences, and she said, "I don't know, if he's a Christian or not." Teacher gave it back and said, "Do this again," and she said, "I don't know if he's trust Jesus as a Savior." Teacher gave it back again. I said, "Ashley, let's just write what the teacher wants." And the teacher wanted the fact that he gave money for the pews inside the church. Now, that's a result of being a believer, but that isn't necessarily what it is. And so she was thinking outside the box at that time at a young age. She started her own business in high school with Steve. She got a college degree in a year and a half, and now she's a mom and raising kids. This is Gentry, our middle daughter. She's married to Andrew, and they have Deacon and Landry, and little Sloan was just born in January. Ginger's sort of a natural born leader. Her friends just followed her. She was someone that they wanted to be around. She actually won the Bear Award at the public high school as a senior. She played sports in the public high school. So for softball and basketball, she won the Bear Award. She was voted captain for both her junior and senior year. And then Hunter is the baby of the family. And just this last weekend, he got married to Brittany. So we have expanded our family even more than just babies. And they're off on their honeymoon. Hunter was always asking questions. He was always curious. He did not like to read, but he was curious about things. He would raise his hand at the table to try to get a word in between his two sisters. And so all of the kids actually are leaders in their different parts of life, whether that's at a job, whether that's at church, they're just different, leaders. And I've watched them sort of grow in their leadership skills. They always also took ownership of their education in high school. We allowed them to make decisions. So they were not following me or Steve in high school. They were leading and taking ownership in their own homeschool, in their education. And I think that's really important. We homeschooled for 10 years. We had ups and we had some major downs. I bet you can relate to that. I started homeschooling with a haphazard approach, trying to figure it all out. Between Charlotte Mason and classical and unit studies, which one do I follow? And about 5 years into it, I discovered leadership education, but it wasn't from a Christian perspective. I had to figure it out myself to figure out how to, and it really didn't have much like practical ideas. It was more an overview of what it was all about. And so I had to figure it all out myself. And I want to help you so you don't have to figure it out by yourself. That's the reason we're having this class. So there's our family. The proof is in the pudding. Now, I'd love you to sort of think about this. Can you imagine what it would be like to enjoy homeschooling together without all the attitude, to grow relationships with your kids instead of putting out fires, to have the peace and confidence that what you're doing is enough and the right activities, to have a clear picture of where you're headed? What would it be like if that was a picture of your homeschool? Put something in the chat and let me know. I'm almost following that path line for line. Yes, all of the different ones and growing gray. I had gray hair when I was in my late 20s. So, yeah, what would your life be like if you could get to that point of peace and confidence and then putting on the future glasses and knowing your kids would be okay? How would you feel? Let me know. And as you write
Mm,
that in the chat, I want you to just see that today we're going to talk about raising our kids to be leaders for Jesus who influence and impact others for the rest of their life. Plus, the word freedom goes right alongside with um, leadership. And that's freedom for you, mom, in your homeschool, and then hopefully freedom for your kids in their adult lives. I like that. I would laugh more. Don't feel like now a lot of people don't feel like they're doing enough. And so hopefully we will help you gain some confidence. Now, if some of you are like me, you want to know where you're going at all times, let me take you through a quick roadmap. We're going to talk about 3 possible education models for your kids, the 4 steps to raising Christian leaders, the biggest mistakes moms make. So let's start with a quote from 1909, almost 100, over 100 years ago. With my math. I want you to think about what this word liberal education means. When you think of that word in that top line, put something in the chat and let me know what is liberal education. Because this person says we want one class to have a liberal education. We want another class, a very much larger class of necessity, to forgo the privilege. They thought it was a privilege of liberal education and fit themselves to perform specific, difficult manual tasks. I will say liberal education has nothing to do with conservative liberal like politics, okay? But liberal, what would that mean to you? Because these people saw it as a privilege, and they didn't want most of the kids to get that. They wanted most people to fit themselves to be workers, work, work, work. And it was coming off the end of the Industrial Revolution. They were pouring money into the education system. And I see some of y'all wrote self-governed, very good, freedom and flexibility. Should mean freedom. Yes, because liberal comes from the word liberate, same root word. And so to liberate themselves or free themselves from the teacher, they would have the tools of learning, love of learning, critical thinking skills, all the things that we will talk about today to free them from the teacher and be able to live a life of freedom and be able to learn on their own as well. Who said this? Oh, the president. Well, he wasn't president of the United States at the time. He was president of Princeton, Woodrow Wilson. And to be honest, this is where we are today. This is what public schools, now it took several decades. I would say around the 50s, 60s is when you really saw a big change. And it has completely, we produce workers from our school because you go to school to get a job. That's what everyone says. That's not true education. So first method of education, conveyor belt education. Everyone gets on the conveyor belt at station 1. They do the same activities. They're tested the same way. And then they go to station 2. Same activities, tested the same way. And they go all the way down to 12 stations. They get a stamp of approval and they're sent off to the market, to the job market. That's what it's all about. Actually, in the Middle Ages, they used this method to teach poor people how to do something so they could be productive in society. So it goes back further than just Woodrow Wilson. In this type of education, kids learn what to think. They're told what to think. It teaches kids to follow and not lead, to be compliant, to not have freedom, to get a job, mostly using textbooks. Next, we have professional education, and that is when to think. This is to get a career and eventually retire, to become an expert. So if you go to auto mechanic school and you come in and they bring the car and it goes clunk, 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 you know when that happens, you do this. When you go to medical school, they come in and say, I have a pain right here. And you say, when that happens, we do this. I'm not comparing the value of a car with a human being. I'm just saying it is a similar type of education. It is to get a career and eventually retire. And then lastly, education is how to think. This is where we take ownership of our education and we own things in society. We might become a statesman. A lot of statesmen can impact and influence, but this also is in our community, in our family, in our churches, in our businesses. And we're going to spend the rest of the time talking about leadership education. We are using the classics to develop that how to think. So I guess my question to you, oh wait, not yet, which type of education would you want for your kids? And you can put something in the chat. And as you do, because I do have, since this is about leadership education, the question comes up, how does a generation who was not mentored in leadership education give this type of education to the next generation? How do you and I, who know the conveyor belt so well, give our kids a leadership education? That's what we're going to be talking about. Leadership and leadership. opposed to teaching kids what to think, especially at a young age, or giving them a career. You know, some kids need to go to law school to be a lawyer, but leadership, I think, is just so much bigger. And I think most of y'all are on there. I'm now, oh my goodness, you are near my heart. Thank you. Questions. You just keep putting in questions. So, thank you for entering that. Today, we're going to talk about how you do that yourself. And I'm going to give out another one of these. Here we have Christina. You are our next winner. If you want to email or leave your email address, and we'll send you the Verses and Prayers ebook that we're giving away throughout the class to different people that leave comments as well. So this is what Laura said. She's one of my Raising Leaders students, and she says, your course completely changed my mindset, our homeschool routine, and my kiddos love their new teacher. That's the change. When we hop off that conveyor belt, we can get so much more freedom. Now, let's move into 4 steps of Christian leadership education. We are going to, I will go back. Sometimes you sort of think about all this, and it's sort of like, how can I do all of this? I'm already doing so much. And now you're going to give me 4 steps of Christian leadership education with all my curriculum to complete, check boxes to check off. What if I mess up? I'm trying to balance life, family, homeschooling, work, and all that clutter around my house. I need to cook and clean, and I am overwhelmed. If you can feel like that, you can put something in the chat. But let's talk about this Christian leadership education as a lifestyle. It is life. We don't want to add more to your plate. We want to change our mindset and our perspective. In fact, one of my spring students, Jessica, at the last group coaching session a month ago, she says, Carrie, I am almost to tears. I thought when I started Christian leadership, it was all about raising my kids to be leaders. You have changed my whole perspective. I am more relaxed and not stressed out. Thank you for doing this. And so that's the kind of thing we want to do. We don't want to stress you out. We want to give you a new perspective on what homeschooling truly can be. Well, it's almost like you were in my house. Okay, number 1, firm foundation of character. And this to me starts with righteous character. It goes back to what Warren Bennis has to say. The foundation of a good leader is character. And I base this in the Bible. I would encourage you to put on the armor of God. You can find that in Ephesians 6:10 through 16. I was challenged about 7 or 8 years ago. Carrie, do you pray the armor of God over your family every day? And I was like, hadn't really thought about that. And so here we are. And that is one thing that I've done. And I can pretty much say almost every day. Every once in a while I may miss it, or I used to do it in bed before I ever got out of bed. Now I pretty much talk to God on my walks, and that's part of my prayers with Him. And so what I want to do is just take a moment and I want to pray for each of your families and my family that we will put on the armor of God. Father, thank you for each mom here, and there may be some dads. I didn't look at all the names. And for each child and family represented here. And I pray that we will be strong in the Lord Jesus Christ, that we will put on that belt of truth, and the truth will set us free, that we will each put that breastplate of righteousness, walking in righteousness and leaving our old self dead and buried in the tomb, that we will walk in peace, peace with you, peace with ourselves, peace with each other, that we will also hold up that shield of faith, faith in Jesus Christ alone to extinguish all the arrows the enemy is sending us, and that we'll put on that helmet of salvation, taking every thought captive to obey you, demolish the enemy's strongholds, um, take those thoughts captive, and think about what is good and lovely and true and pure and honorable and praiseworthy and excellent. And we will fight our battles with the sword of the Spirit. We will all spend time each day reading God's word. Even our little kids can read God's word. If my 6-year-old granddaughter can read her Bible, then we can all learn to read parts of it even at a young age. Pray that we will pray persistently and in the Holy Spirit for believers around the world. Most of all, we thank you for Jesus' blood and the bond we have in that. In Jesus' powerful name I pray. Amen. Okay, that is it. Let me just say something. If you are raising your kids to godliness, if you and your husband are working on a biblical marriage, you have a target, not on your back, but on your chest, full on frontal assault, and you need to use the armor of God to fight the enemy against that. The enemy is attacking, and you need to defend yourself. The next part of firm foundation of character is servant leadership. Jesus is the greatest example of this, but I will come down to my own son. He was voted classroom champion for the TV. When you're a senior, the TV chooses one each week, and he was nominated, and you had to be in sports and be a leader. And he went to a private Christian school, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. One of his teachers nominated him, and they came out to interview him. And one of the questions was, how do you see yourself as a leader? And his response was, well, I'm a servant leader. I like to serve the guys on my team. That's what we want our kids to grow up and have, that attitude of serving others. I know it's hard with siblings, but that's one of our goals, is to serve one another. So that's one thing. And I have a whole talk on servant leadership as well. Finally, we want to use scripture like we talked about in our little post-it party, and use God's rules. Put it on his shoulders instead of trying to do it all ourselves. And so when you need to talk to him about something, find a verse that you can go back and say, well, yes, I said that, but really this is what God's saying, and let God speak to your kids. Now, we do have these following God charts, and there are three of them. They're all different. This one says, make peace and argue. Here's a verse for peace and one about arguing, and a space for you to write down what happens when your kids are making peace and what happens when they argue. Obey, disobey. Anyway, you've got six on this page, and then three more that each have six, and those are digital. And I just think I wish I had had this when I was raising kids, but I didn't. But I do have a question for you. Can you see how using Bible verses can make character building easier than what you're doing right now? If so, put something in the chat. And thank y'all for your comments. I'm sort of reading them as I talk as well. If this would help you, that would be great. Put something in there. One of my students said I couldn't figure it out how to implement it, and I wanted a Christian perspective. Thank God for you bringing all this together. So first, firm foundation of character. Next, to lead tomorrow, you must learn today. And so my question to you, and you could put something in the chat, and Belinda says she's done this, and it does work better than just my opinion. I agree. I didn't have the charts. I actually did go back to scripture. I had a list of verses that I had, and my kid, we would use those verses as we talked. And so I did go back to scripture. I just didn't have that chart. What is love of learning? Put something in the chat. What is a love of learning? So this is my granddaughter Faith. She's 10 now, but when she was 3, I took her out to this farm, and she went on an Easter egg hunt. She was scared of the chickens at first. She took her first pony ride. She got her face painted. She rode a little train. She held a bunny rabbit, and in the end, she was feeding these chickens. She was curious about everything at that farm. A lot of it was brand new to her. And y'all just said being open. Um, this is true. I think toddlers and preschoolers have a curiosity that shows a love of learning. And they are curious about everything. But we get, what's that number one question they ask over and over and over again? Yes. Why? Why? And we get tired of it, but you have 30 or 40 years of experience on them, and they sincerely don't know why chicken does this, or, why this happens or that happens. And so we set them at a desk. We say, give them a stack of workbooks, and we say, okay, this is time to school, and this is what we're going to learn. And then we strangle their love of learning. We strangle, like you said, the discovery process. We strangle their curiosity. And we don't want to do that. We want to grow our kids to be lifetime learners, inspiring lifetime learners. So where can we start? My question to you is, do your kids love to learn? Do you love to learn? Because if you don't, then that's probably where they're getting it from. First thing you can do is model, and the second thing is be enthusiastic. Remember, more is caught than taught. My son Hunter went out, he was about 9 or 10 years old with his friend to my parents' farm. My mother loves birds. Like she got bird books and songs and houses. Well, they had a nest with some eggs in it. They could lean over the front porch into look at the bush and see the nest with the eggs in it. And they were looking at that thing all day long. They also looked at bird books and listened to bird songs. They went and checked my mom's bird houses. They were so into it. And one of the reasons I believe is my mom loves birds. She was enthusiastic and excited about all of it. Now, I know there's sometimes we just can't be excited about everything, but your excitement and enthusiasm can make a difference. Now, I will tell you another story again with Hunter. We drove to the Houston to go to the museum for a Monet exhibit, Impressionism, and we get in the parking lot and he goes, "Oh no, not this museum." Well, yes, he wanted to go to the health museum where you could see the lungs breathing and all this. I said, Hunter, this is back in old school. Put the little headphones on and listen to three paintings. Right next door is a Star Wars exhibit you can go to after you listen to three of them. He was 6 or 7 at the time. Fast forward till he was 16. We were in London. We'd worked a conference and we told the kids we would stay and sightsee. And one day I wanted to go to the National Gallery of Art. The only one in my family that would go with me was Hunter Beck, my son. I tell you this story because when you're inspiring a love of learning and lifetime learning, sometimes it feels like you're just going crazy. Give yourself grace and patience, but also give your children grace and patience. It is going to probably take time. Just think of Hunter. He's complaining at 6, and he's the only one that would go with me to the art museum when he was 16. So give yourself grace and patience. Give your kids grace and patience. Now, I told you I'll give you something really simple to do. Doesn't even take much thinking to inspire. This is something that can build relationships, and relationships really are the most important thing you can do as a parent, both relationships up and down to God and horizontally with those around them in their family and outside the family. This also will develop a love of reading, a love of books and classics, and it's reading aloud every single day. We started our day with read aloud. And my kids knew I loved to read. And so we started our day. Now, I did rotate the books because my kids didn't all like the same kind of books. Gentry would listen to any book. Ashley wanted to listen to history. And Hunter, pretty much just anything with water, and then Robin Hood and King Arthur. And so reading aloud is so simple. Girls, my kids that have kids, my grandkids, they hear a book every night before they go to sleep. And that is just routine. And my grandson, who goes 90 to nothing, I mean, he just goes and goes big. I mean, boy. He's 3 years old. He will sit quietly in your lap. He will beg you to read a book. I watched him the other night. I was there on Monday night. He is sitting quietly in his dad's lap as his dad is reading a book to him. And so, yes, kids should love to go to the library as well. I think this thing I want to say about this is this gives you freedom. We talked about liberal education and freedom. It gives you freedom to read any type of book, whatever you want to study. You don't have to be dependent on a curriculum and the check boxes. And your kids, you can inspire them to love learning by allowing them to make choices about something they want to read. So pick books. Now, Hunter did not like to read as a kid. I just went crazy trying to find books that he would read. All my kids are readers now. And so I just think it's important that we see the freedom that we could give. You don't have to read every book that someone tells you to read. Find the ones that are important to your family values and ones your kids are interested in. So, firm foundation of character, inspire lifetime learning. Number 3 is a personal growth plan. Now, this I really think it's important to do more with older kids. So If you think I was just talking about little kids, character for like little littles and keep going, love lifetime learning, elementary-ish and keep going. And then when they're teenagers, we want to do it's a three-step personal growth plan. First, we are going to set aside a time for learning. That was morning for us to homeschool. We started with Bible at the kitchen table at breakfast time. Steve would lead with devotions, and then we would move into our homeschool. Set aside a time for learning. File quickly what you learn. Now, I am going to show you. Oh my goodness, come back. I got some major problems here. Let me turn my video off. File quickly. This is a reading journal, and you write about the what you're reading. Not narrate it back, but write about it. This, I don't know why I have Hunter's, but I still have Hunter's reading journal. And you can open it up, and he's got September 17th, 2007, September 18th. He was reading Pride and Prejudice. That was a mom chosen one because we were studying modernity at the time. But little, and we were all supposed to write 1 page a day. Read every day, set aside time for learning, file quickly by writing every day. And then lastly, apply quickly what you learn. Discuss it. Once a week, you could have a discussion on what you were reading as a family. A great place to start is with a read aloud because everyone's actually hearing the same book, and then mom doesn't feel like she's got to go read everyone's book. I did try to group my kids as much as possible. Sorry, my throat is dry. So this is what we call our read, write, discuss process. Read every day, write 1 page a day about it, not just tell it back, and then discuss once a week. This is really similar. This gives you freedom again to study any topic. If politics are important, then read things with politics. If science is important, you can even read missionary biographies. There are just so many ways you can use this. And then you can discuss the book that you're actually reading it. How do you do this with math? I actually have some books storybooks that my kids, Hunter learned a math book. There's mathematicians are real people too. He actually learned ratios from, we read the story of Thales. He was back in Egyptian time. He was trying to measure how tall the pyramid was, and he realized the ratio between the pyramid and its shadow, the ratio would be the same as a man and its shadow. And that's how he determined how tall the pyramid was. And so you could read biographies of mathematicians as well. The name of the book is Mathematicians Are Real People Too. And I think there's 2 or 3 volumes. We read several of them. There's some really good math storybooks that were not out when my kids were young. They came out. Circumference and the Round Table is another fun one. It's a picture book, but you can learn the whole math. The last thing I want to say on this is very similar to Bible study and can help build a close relationship with God. You know, you read your Bible every day and write about it, and then you get together at church and you talk about what you are learning as well. So one of our students, Shelley, said, I didn't see the value of discussions. I didn't like discussions. I thought you just read a book and that was it. And then she was taking our course and she said, we now have discussions with any book, the Bible or a newspaper or even a movie. This completely changed my mindset. I really appreciated your role of mentoring me, Carrie, in all of that. So character, lifetime learning, personal growth plan, but where in the world do you start? I'm going to gather, like Charlotte Mason says, there is no education but self-education. This means you can even make kids really be educated. That's an internal thing that they will grow. Like someone said something about just memorizing the information for a test. That is totally against what Charlotte Mason would say. And so I believe step 4 is you, mom. It's got to start for you. And this is the perfect time to do it. You've got summer, even if you year round educate, a lot of people will slow down a little bit, but you should have some time to learn yourself and go through this personal growth plan. For me, that was in the morning. I'd go for a walk and pray. I'd read my Bible and then read my book and write something in my journal. Oh, here, let me show you this too. Here is one of my reading journals here. And you can just see, just short little things. And sometimes I didn't even write. One of these were just some lines like this one. I wrote some sentences and then some notes about what I was learning from that. So it's real simple. I encourage my kids did have to write sentences. It was not a writing assignment to grade. I will say that. This was to get ideas out of their head and onto paper. How can you start? You can start by modeling this for your kids so they see you doing it. Don't start teaching this to your kids until you have done this. Choose a classic book and then read it every day. Write in your journal every day and share it once a week. Maybe even at the dinner table, share what's going on and what you're doing. All right. Then pick another classic. And by classic number three, it should be an adult classic. Start with the kids' classic. If y'all want some ideas on classics, put some in the chat and maybe y'all can share some. But maybe I read Anna Green Gables a few years ago with some moms to get started. And I missed things that I'd read the book before. It was a different perspective because my life was different at the time. So read a child if you want to read a kid's classic, but eventually this summer you need to read an adult classic so you understand what your kids are struggling with when they can't understand something. If you read it at an adult level, it may challenge you to understand certain concepts or things in the book. So 4 steps: firm foundation of godly character, inspire lifetime learning, personal growth plan, and it starts with you. Put something in the chat and tell me which one of these might help you the most. And you can, I'm not trying to add more things. You can use personal growth plan with whatever you're already using. You can read aloud with whatever you're already using. And character building, we should be doing that anyway. I do want to share a quick story before I go to biggest mistakes moms make, and that is from Cherry. She told me there was little to nothing available in the area that has practical application in mentoring our kids. And when we start with mom, we are modeling and we are mentoring our kids, and they are seeing what we are doing. And I love what she wrote to me this several years ago. I felt like a lone horse on a deserted trail. Everyone else that I know that homeschools is on the conveyor belt to keep up with the public education counterpart. Thank you for being a voice in the desert that will give guidance to us many lone horses that are headed your way. And that's how we feel sometimes. Everyone else is on that conveyor belt. How do we step off that conveyor belt and do what God is calling us to do? So, I was looking to see self-improvement, good things. Okay, put 1, 2, 3, or 4 if you want. Which step? Now, Jesus told Martha, Martha, my dear Martha, you are worried and upset over all the details. She's in the kitchen cooking and tell Mary to get in here. All she's doing is sitting at the feet, you know? And Jesus is like, just chill, Martha. He didn't say that. But Martha is making the biggest mistakes that moms make. And that is we are productivity oriented. Have a checklist mentality. Someone gives us a checklist, we've got to do all of those things. It's similar to Martha. I'm busy, busy getting things done. And God wants us to slow down. How can we get off that conveyor belt, Mom? 3 R's. First, relax. Like, seriously, take a deep breath and relax. Enjoy your kids. Build relationships with your kids. That is the most important thing. And just they're going to be gone before you know it. And every time I say something like this, I'm like, oh, I could go down this rabbit hole. Like I stay on time of different stories, but relax, enjoy your kids. And that they're little cuddle. I love being with my grandkids, but even they give you big hugs and they're only 3 or 6 years old. Enjoy it. It seems like it's forever every day, and when is this day going to end? But it's going to go by quickly. Rest, like seriously, get some sleep because we do need some sleep. And if you need to, take a nap when your kids are having quiet time. I used to take 10-minute power naps because if I slept longer, I'd be groggy all day long. Rest, get some sleep, but also rest in the Lord. He says, rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Go to him for what we need. Go to him for answers about what you are going to do with your homeschool. Rest in him. So go to him, and then lastly, rejoice. Find something to rejoice about. God says, in the presence of the Lord is joy, and the joy of our Lord is our strength. So go to him, spend time with him, rest with him, and then rejoice. Find things to say thank you for. Keep a gratitude journal and have your kids tell you things that they are thankful for and write them down so you have a family history. I think changing gratitude scientifically changes the way you think. And so relax, rest, and rejoice. This can give you freedom to hop off that conveyor belt and simplify your homeschool by just following, using some of these strategies as well. So in the chat, let me know if one of these really resonates with you that might help you hop off that conveyor belt and quit stressing out. Relax, rest, rejoice. You could even put relationships in there. So, 4 steps: firm foundation of godly character, inspire lifetime learning, personal growth plan, start with you, your education. And then we can start with you, relax, rest, and rejoice. Yes, relaxing is good. Now, at this point, I have a question for you. Would you like me to help you gain confidence and freedom to give your children a Christian education with leadership skills? I see 2 options for you to move forward with the information that we have here. You could try to create a Christian leadership education plan on your own, but you run the risk of being in the same place this time next year with a big open loop and no plan to give your children that better education. Or you could 100% commit to focusing on Christian leadership education with a proven plan. If you're ready to build confidence and freedom in your homeschool and follow a proven plan, I invite you to join me inside Raising Leaders, Not Followers. It is the only education course of its kind from a Christian perspective. It's going to exactly show you how to build godly character, lifetime learners, think critically, biblically, and make wise decisions that glorify and honor Jesus. One of my students, Angie, she homeschooled during COVID when everyone else was starting to homeschool. And she was like, I am never doing that again. I am sending those kids back. And she said one of her sons did not want to go back to school. And there were some real reasons for it. And she just said, Carrie, I thought, well, I did it once. I guess I can do it again. She started doing some research and she is like, found you. And she goes, I said to myself, this is the lady I want to follow. And she goes, I have no idea how I found you. It was a God thing. And she said, what I learned from you is education isn't fully about academics. It's about God and putting Him first to fulfill God's purpose in her life and her children's life. And she said, the more I saw of what you taught, Carrie, I thought to myself, yes, this is what I want to do. If I'm in a homeschool, this is what I want it to look like. And she said she went from never, ever wanting to homeschool ever again to having a model that actually works for her kids and for her because this gave her purpose, content, and encouragement to move forward with a homeschool that is truly effective with her kids as well. So there's a lot in here. That's a whole long list. I'm not going to read through it. What I'd rather do is just show you the 6 different modules. The first one is 5-step formula to Christian leadership education, and each of these are 1 week modules. But you have lifetime access. But they're designed to work through each module 1 week. This will give you clarity and a path to walk on as you raise your kids to make wise decisions and influence others. Character is foundation. We're going to talk about the number 1 most important quality a leader must have to influence those around them, even leading your family. 3, inspire your kids to love learning. We're going to absolutely nail it to make learning fun so that your kids don't even know that they're learning. And 4, the tools of learning. We need to know the tools so they can have freedom to learn later on. And I'm going to answer some questions right at the end. So go ahead and put those in there. Tools of learning that make lifetime learners. We're going to talk about jumping off that conveyor belt public school system and discover tools of learning that have been used for centuries. You see, around 1900, they started changing. They quit using successful tools, or they just gave it to those few little people that got that liberal education. We're going to go back to those tools that give you a liberal education. Number 5, thinking skills for leaders. How to help your child write about your book and they have no idea what to write about. How you can stimulate discussions without worksheets or textbooks when you don't have an English degree. And then 6 is really for moms and for teenagers. It's all about decision making. We're going to talk about 7 secrets that you can share with your teens so they can make wise decisions as adults. I encourage moms to go through this module and then go through it with their teens. And so that's a great place to get started with teens. Then we have 3 weeks of implementation, putting it into practice. Rose told me that this leadership course gave her a way for her to teach her kids to think logically. She said she loved the real life stories that she could relate to. And since she was a visual learner, she said all the workbooks, there's a workbook for each one of these besides video teaching, that all of those she kept in a 3-ring binder, and she could go back, watch a video, or go to her workbook later the next year or the next year. And she actually has rewatched several of the videos as well. You know, I'm not special. This wasn't easy for me, but I want to make it as easy as possible for you to shift your mind like I did when I found the best education to offer my kids that would give me confidence and our family the freedom that we need to homeschool better. So, and then there are all of them. This is a value 197, but I love to throw in extra bonuses. So let's talk about what you get. You do get lifetime access. So that means you can't go back like Rose. Help for the Harried Homeschooler. These are your schedules, your list, your printables, helps for raising leaders. We have 3 book lists for classics. If you don't know what classics to read, we have children, teen, and adult list. We do offer a money back guarantee, but I'm only looking for serious action takers. So you need to show that you gave the course a try before requesting a refund. I do this because I'm really not looking for tire kickers, but true go-getting moms just like you. If you're on this class, you are a go-getting mom. You are interested in making a change. Because you want to dive in and get results quickly. If you do the work and you're still not satisfied, show me your work within 14 days of the course opening, and I will gladly refund. That means you can't lose no matter what. It's like taking a test drive. And then the whole course started with our ebooks. I wrote this ebook, Raising Leaders, Not Followers, to explain sort of the whole idea of leadership education. It talks about character building and love of learning and transitioning from mom guiding to kids learning independently. Then we move to teach your children how to think with mentoring. And that goes through our read, write, discuss process and all sorts of details, as well as internships, shadowing colleges, work after they finish homeschool. And then this hop off the conveyor belt. The only place you can really get that is in our course. And those are we've been doing this for a long time, like 2010 or 11. And it looks a lot better now than it did back then. But my moms would tell me things that were working. And so we compiled them all into a book based on categories of leadership education that you will get as well. So all of that with the bonus gifts is worth $266.85. I will say this. Holly is one of my reviewers, and she said she read the books in a few days and found lots of practical direction, especially age level appropriate expectations if you have lots of kids as well. Now, here's a special bonus that I love to do. I told you you get implementation weeks. We also have 3 weeks of live group coaching. That means on the implementation week, we will get together on a Wednesday and you can ask any question and I'll have some introductory remarks as well. And so you have 3 weeks of implementation, but actually we're going to add a fourth on Friday, next Friday, May 30th. It's sort of a getting started group coaching test drive, how coaching works, because some of you go, well, I'm not quite sure if this is for me. That's still within your 14-day money back guarantee. Why do I do this? Because I think this maintains your motivation to complete the leadership homeschooling plan that we put out here. Helen Hockley was very skeptical of me when she signed up. She told me later, she goes, Carrie, I wasn't so sure if this was just a big marketing ploy or what, but she said it changed her homeschool. She just loved it. She got on every coaching call. She said the most helpful parts of this course were the videos and the workbooks and then the live group coaching because she could get her questions answered quickly in the coaching call. And we're not going to go all 6 weeks and do a coaching call. We'll do 2 weeks of modules and we'll take a break so that then we can talk about modules 1 and 2. And so I want this to work for you. I suggest that if you can even just carve out 20, 30 minutes a day to work on this, you can finish the course. All right. And I know summer can be busy just doing other things, but we're not asking you to spend 3 hours a day on this. So that would end up being about 2 hours a week, maybe two, 2.5. It depends on the module. So it's not a lot. And I know you're busy, so you don't have time to do this. You have kids to raise. Next is the instant bonus. This is a training I did. Quit trying. Everyone's like, I'm trying to homeschool. Well, we need to train for success. And I'm going to give you some steps in this instant bonus that you can listen to as soon as you join the course. My friend Andrew Pudawa, we talked about writing from copywork to composition. This is an interview that I did with him, and he just has great ideas. And if writing's something hard for you to teach, here's your bonus that will help you. I'm going to talk about scheduling, 7 homeschool scheduling tricks. These are daily tricks, weekly tricks, and annual, all of them. So let's see, next. Oh, and this summer in August, I host Homeschool Superheroes, and this is a bonus. It's August 11th through the 15th. You will get a VIP ticket. You don't have to pay for it. That means you get lifetime access to all of the sessions that we have. You'll get the VIP bundle. You'll also get early access about 3 weeks before the public gets it. VIPers can get access on July 21st. And today only, this is that little special I was saying. If you sign up before tonight, you can get our human body printable back. And you may go, oh, that's just little kids. Not really. Okay, the tooth, yes, tooth's probably little kids stuff. Some of this is elementary human fertilization. That's going to be more junior high and high school. And same with some of the brain. So there's activities. They're printables, but they also have activities on them at all different levels as well. All of that with all the bonuses, $1,763. And you're like, I don't think so. And truthfully, there are parts of that I could really probably charge some of that, but I know you well. I know my moms, and I know that although you're incredibly serious about giving your kids an elite education and you want to gain confidence in the process, that price point is not realistic. So I've decided to slash the price. You can pay $54 a month for 4 months, or you can make a one-time payment of $197. It is at howtohomeschoolmychild.com/RLNF. Go ahead and put this. Uh, to make sure, since you're here live. Oh, that's the wrong, oh my goodness. I'm gonna have to look that up. I have the wrong thing copied. Oh wait, I can grab it right here. Copy. Here is that little gift for coming live. So you can go there and see what it's all about. I do still have a few more extra bonuses for y'all. Let me grab those here. If you pay in full, we do drama-free mom bundle. Diane said, I already own this, but I think this is the best thing that you can offer your that you that you can offer your new students. She said, when I went to this bundle, it was an easy way to quickly change my public school mindset and daily routines to make my family's weekly homeschool schedule run a lot smoother. And so we offer that. It's my ebook all about finding peace in your life, your homeschool, and your family. And then I have Achieving Peace Through Consistency workshop, Busy Mom's Game Plan, How to Stay Close to God, and How to De-Stress Mom with 3 R's. We dive deep into those 3 R's with that. And anyone that happens to sign up while we're still on the class, I'm going to give you a $10 Amazon gift card to get started. All right. This is to help you buy a classic book for your kids. You're thinking, what can I spend my money on? You really can go to Dover Publishing and you can find books, a classic book to start critical thinking skills, a classic book to start your education, a fun learning toy to encourage a love of learning, or buy your next read aloud book. So anyone that signs up now, I'm going to give you that Amazon gift card as well. So here's the whole package with the bonuses and everything. But I want you to think for just a second, and then we're going to take Q&A as soon as I finish these comments. I want you to think exactly why you showed up today. And I can guess maybe you feel stressed out, pulled in so many directions, you're looking for ways to simplify your life in your homeschool. Or maybe your kid's attitude is driving you crazy and you're ready to pull out your hair. All those screens, screens, screens. You're looking for a way to change your kids' behavior in hopes of them following God on their own. I want you to remember why you showed up today. Because by now, I think you can see how raising leaders, not followers, will help you bust through all the sticking points that have stopped you from hopping off that conveyor belt of public schools in the past. Your fear of failing your own children because you're unsure what really works in homeschooling. But if you still haven't signed up for raising leaders, maybe you have some doubts. I can create my own plan, and you sure can. I hear you. That's where I was. But it took years, I mean, years to formulate that plan. I want you to rest assured the steps we offer inside Raising Leaders will take you by the hand, starting at preschool, kindergarten ages, all the way to 12th grade to show you exactly what to do. Or here's another doubt. People are like, I can't spend the money. And I understand in this economy, it is hard, but I'd like you to consider this perspective. It seems like most of you, I think someone had one child, but most of you have multiple kids. Let's just say you only have one child left and only 4 years left. That would be $50 a year, less than $50 a year to change your kids' attitude, to give them an education, to give them a liberal freedom education, and it would help you as well. And I can promise you this, that I will walk with you holding your hand over the next 9 weeks. So you're successful and you start giving your kids the education they deserve. And so they can think for themselves and make wise decisions as young adults. And to help you if money is tight, I have a 4 payment plan for the entire course as well. And then finally, I can do it alone at home. You can do it at home and you can do it alone, but wouldn't it be easier to walk with someone else and someone that's gone before you, that's already had ups and downs, and to do it with other moms as well? That will a lot of times help you keep the motivation going as well. So there's it is howtohomeschoolmychild.com/RLNF25. Here we are. It's time to answer all your burning questions. I'm going to open it up to you to ask anything you're wondering about. Um, and I would just really say, you know, I don't like to this isn't just to sell something. Yes, there is value, and yes, this is my business, but I'm really here to help you. Like Jessica said, I mean, it just surprised me just all of a sudden in our group coaching class. She just started talking about, she goes, screen. She really started talking about how this has helped her. And she did not expect, she just thought she'd get a few little tips on helping her kids. And it has completely changed the way that she homeschooled. When I hear stories like that, that is what keeps me going. That is what keeps me teaching these classes and creating courses to help you as well. So I want to answer your questions. The first one I see right now is it 3 weeks or 9 weeks? It's a total of 9 weeks. So the 3 weeks are implementation weeks. So let me sort of outline it a little better for you. We have 6 modules on week 1, and it starts the Monday after Memorial Day, I think it's June 2nd, 2nd or 3rd. So that's week 1, module 1. The next week is module 2. The next week is implementation week, group coaching. And that's when you're going to get your first bonus, I think the one from Andrew. Then the next week we'll do module 3, the next week module 4, and then we'll have another implementation and group coaching week. And so there are 6 modules plus 3 implementation group coaching weeks, and that gives us a total of 9. I was looking at it the other day. I think we finish I think the last week of July. So you've got all of August to get ready for schooling as well. All right, let's see. I saw another question. I love homeschool superheroes. Thank you. I've been trying for 20 years. All right, then come spend some time with me. Let's get this down. Tired of trying. There was another question I saw, yeah, from Massey. I don't know if that's your first name, but is this for mom or for using with kids? It is both. It is for mom to work through and then implement it with her kids. There are parts of it you may want your kids to listen to, especially teenagers at the end. But a lot of it is teaching you how to be a better homeschool mom teacher and give your kids a true, is our last name, that's why, how you can give your kids a true education, that liberal freedom education, so that they have a love of learning, tools of learning, critical thinking skills, and they walk in godly character as well. Zan, thank you. Uh, I didn't think that was your first name. I've got a few others written here. It says, I'm going to be out of town some this summer. Will I get behind? And what about the group coaching? Well, really, you work at your own pace. So you will get lifetime access, so you can always go back. The group coaching works like this. I have a form, and if you have some questions, you can fill out that form and include the questions that you're looking for. If you're absent on a day that you can't come to a group coaching, we will still answer your questions if you turn them in ahead of time. And so that's one thing that can be helpful as well. So you can always get questions answered whether you can make it to the group coaching call or not. Generally speaking, they are on Wednesday afternoons around 3 o'clock Central Time. Christina says, does it come with physical books or is everything a PDF printable? The course itself, that's a really good question, by the way. The course itself comes with all the, they're all digital. So you can print it out. You can print it out multiple times if you need to. If you, some people, I've had some students interested in the physical copies. We have physical copies of Raising Leaders, Not Followers, and we have physical copies of Teach Your Children How to Think with Mentoring. We can send those to you for the cost. I, I think we sent it for maybe $4 or $5 a piece. Just to cover shipping is the main thing. And so if you're interested, I will send something out. Actually, I have some follow-up emails for our new students, and I will put a link in there with if you want the physical copy as well. So you would get the course, and then you can get the discounted physical copies as well. So interested in that. The books cost more than the shipping does, just so y'all know. Okay, what else do I need to buy to see results in Raising Leaders, Not Followers? Really, it is a comprehensive course, one of the most comprehensive courses to help moms go from feeling scattered and overwhelmed to confident, focused, and intentional. So you won't really need to purchase any other trainings, and we've got extra bonus trainings for you to help you with scheduling. I know organization can be difficult, help you with writing. Writing is sometimes difficult, to help you to quit trying as well. So you don't really need to purchase any other trainings. Now, having said that, you may want to buy some books, or you could go to the library. You may want to buy books to read. You may want to go to Dollar Tree and buy some supplies for different activities. So that would be sort of what it is. Not really, you don't need to buy anything else. I'm not going to say, oh, here, come sign up, and then 3 weeks into it. If you really want to see success, you got to buy all this other stuff. That's not true. Most of y'all have supplies like, crayons and glue and all that kind of stuff. Most of you probably have books. We have bookshelves in every room of the house except one of the bathrooms. One of our bathrooms, our toilet paper holder is actually a magazine rack. So there are books in that as well. And there are books pretty much in every room, even the bathrooms, because I read in the bathroom often. So, and Christina says, so in the 9 weeks, it's just 30 minutes a day, Monday through Friday. And yes, and I would say some weeks are going to be shorter than that. The first week is 5 video. So you're going to get short videos. The videos are anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes a piece, and then some time to work through whatever the workbook is for that video. The first week probably has more than any other time because there are five, what did I call it? 5 steps or yeah, the foundation, whatever I called it, 5 steps to a foundation. So that is one that I would encourage you to do one a day. And those videos last different amounts of times. And there is a workbook for each one of those. And so, and some of it's going to be a little bit of a review because you've been on the class. But after that, you're probably just going to see 2 or 3 videos a week. And then the workbook for you to do it. And it's not a workbook like just answer a bunch of questions. Sometimes it's like, write each child's name down and what are you going to do with this? Or maybe it's what book are we going to read? Or where are you headed with that child? What character quality? Could be the post-it party, but it may go into a little more in depth with all of that. So I hope that answered your question. I don't want to overwhelm y'all because I will, if y'all want to know the truth, when I first did it, I just gave them a bunch of videos and the books and just gave it to them and they had to figure out how to put it all in practice. Next, I turned it into a course, but I used my old videos and I don't know, watched from this minute to that minute. Well, that doesn't work either. That's overwhelming. The last time, besides this one is my best one, I think. It was an hour-long video every single week. Well, who has time to sit down for an hour-long video? And so that's why I broke them up into more manageable bite-sized pieces, and you're still getting all the great information. So each video, generally speaking, I would say is 5 to 10 minutes as well. So let me see if there are any other questions. Do I have to buy now? That's a good question. You don't have to buy today. You will get an extra bonus if you do buy now, or if you buy before midnight, you'll get all of our, what do you call it? Human body printable pack activities. But you do need to buy by next Thursday, a week from Thursday. We close the doors on Thursday, May 30th. And the reason I do this is when we start and we have a group coaching, I don't need people coming and going, and some people on module 6 and some on module 1, and they don't know what we're talking about. So we do our group coaching. Everyone's had the same amount of information, module 1 and 2, and then module 3 and 4, and then module 5 and 6. So that's one reason I close it off, and then I can really focus on the summer group. Having said that, the once you're an alumni, like I talked to Jessica, and I said, Jessica, you can come to those sessions in the summertime. Once you're an alumni, you'll get an invitation anytime I do group coaching. I probably should put that in as a bonus. But yeah, as long as you are part of it and you're in our email list, then you will get access to all the group coaching. That means now we'll open another course up at the end of the summer, and that will go through the fall. You can come to those in the spring, wherever. So that's an extra little bonus as well. But you do need to take action. And when you take action, it puts everything into motion. And if you happen to buy today, you'll get some of my surprise bonuses that you don't know about that are coming up over the next 10 days. So whenever you buy, you get that bonus, whatever that day, if there is one, and any future bonuses as well. So sort of a cool little benefit. Any other questions? So I do want to share, I just talked about the alumni. Rachel Kosar is one of our students, and this was a couple years ago, and she wrote me, Carrie, this is now my second time going through Racing Leaders Not Followers. I love the information. I'm excited to use what I've learned. I'm currently reading a book for myself. We are only 3 weeks postpartum, and I have a read aloud book ready to start with my kids next week. And I just thought that's really cool that she's going through it a second time. So you're welcome to go through it as many times as you want. Barbara Jean was another one. She just said, I'm so grateful for this course. The devil is on my back lying to me that God really doesn't want me taking this course, but it was all in my head. Raising leaders has been my heart from the beginning. So if you feel like it's from your heart, you're with Barbara Jean. She says, I'm so grateful for this course to help me make my vision a reality for my family. So there's a lot going on. All right. So, oh, bee sting in the garden. That is not good. So Godsend signing off. If y'all have any other questions, put them on or go take check out the course, see what all I've written over there, howtohomeschoolmychild.com/RLNF25. I just want to say thank you for taking time out of your day. I know there's a lot of things that you could be doing, and it means the world to me that you would show up for this class today. If y'all have any more questions, just send me an email and let me know. Thank you. We'll talk to you later.